Welcome back to the Cinema Club podcast. Happy to be here with Paige, and we are diving into The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 4. And thank you to everyone who's been listening to this coverage of this season, and welcome to anybody that's jumping into Episode 4 of Season 2 with us. I had got a chance to watch the episode Sunday night when it premiered. Paige, it sounded like you didn't get a chance to watch until last night or so. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. I stayed off social media for a good full day just so I didn't get any spoilers. Although I knew what was going to happen anyways, but I
Sure.
didn't want to myself. I was itching to watch it the whole day yesterday at work. I was like, come on, work needs to be done. I want to watch the show. So, I have my things to share and my opinions about this episode.
Yeah. And what were your thoughts on the opening of this episode?
Different. I thought it was different with Josh Peck as a weird random guest star. Caught me off guard just a little bit. But once I saw that Isaac was there, I got the feel for what was about to happen. I don't really know how I felt about it. It was a good opening to the wolves, really, and what they stand for, in a sense, and who is leading them and such. What about you? What did you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. Great intro to Isaac, played again by Jeffrey Wright. I was very excited when the casting news was announced that he was returning to play Isaac, because he played him in the game very well. It really is incredible, and every performance I've ever seen him in, like Westworld is the one that comes to my mind, where he's just fantastic in that show. But yeah, I think we opened in 2018, I believe.
Yeah, it was like 11 earlier or something.
Yeah, we're in this Fedra truck. It's, like you were saying, a very different feel and time than we're used to seeing. And then we see the character of Isaac, and he's clearly disgusted by Fedra, which again, I thought was a very interesting background on this character that we don't really get a background on in the game. It seems like he had joined Fedra, been a part of Fedra for whatever reason. Maybe he believed in the cause, and he's very vocally sharing with everybody in that truck his disdain for them and for Fedra as a whole. And then I really liked the dynamic with the rookie.
When that part showed up, and Caleb both looked at each other and were like, all right. He thought of him as a human and not disgusted with them, so he's giving him a chance. More like an ultimatum, but and seeing him later radicalized was kind of neat for a new character.
No, totally agree. I mean, I really liked seeing how they set up this rookie. I'm assuming, probably his first patrol, maybe his first day or first week. And then, obviously everything goes down like it does with the truck. And then we flash to current day. Obviously, Rookie is no longer a rookie, he's still with Isaac, but a very hardened soldier that is condoning Isaac's violence.
I thought it was a good opening, and knew that we didn't have much of a background for Isaac in the game, so it was good to see something. I like how the show can create a background and just make us know who they are, even if in the game you just play them, you don't ever get backgrounds really. I thought that was a good portion.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Isaac's cooking, getting a very strong performance and anchoring the beginning of this episode. Learned about pans that I was not familiar with.
I didn't know there was copper pans out there. It makes me want one now. I mean, good reasons.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, I thought that torture scene was done really well too. We see that character that has such a strong conviction that's being tortured, the Seraphite, and I think he says something along the lines of every day wolf leaves to be a Seraphite, but no Seraphite ever leaves to be a wolf, and that obviously
really pissed him off.
Yeah, it pisses him off because I think it rings true.
Like him realizing that he's not doing a good job being a leader, knowing that his people are leaving to their enemy, and they're just trying to survive.
Exactly. I don't know so much if Isaac is realizing this, but it's obvious to us as viewers that Isaac's wolves are now just as bad as Fedra. The thing that he despised. Everyone's very much locked into a tribalism mindset in Seattle. I wanted to ask your opinion on this, like the previous episode, and then again here, we're set up as viewers to view the Seraphites more as victims, at least in the beginning of this episode. Your thoughts on that aspect of the writing?
Honestly, it's like a lot of people might not agree with me, but even like playing the game as well, I didn't really take the scars as like a super bad enemy towards anyone. It's no difference than what anyone else is doing. And I thought they were weird with the culty prophet type thing. Victimizing them in the show kind of gets more intimate for them, especially with the torture part and how that scar is so deep. It's a strong belief of their prophet, and he will die for her, obviously. But I don't know. I kind of liked how they played them as a victim, because I also, when I was playing the game, I also saw them as victims and trying to find their way. They don't have guns; they use bow and arrows. They're kind of like indigenous now to Seattle.
Isaac points out to this person he's torturing, he's like, "Oh, you guys have like ancient tech compared to our automatic weapons," and the prisoner is still very convicted in his belief that the wolves will one day be taken down.
There's not really a clear reason why they're going after each other either. I never figured that out in the game unless I completely missed that part. But there's no like, you did me wrong, I did you wrong. They're just, you killed some of my people, so now I gotta kill you.
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the conflict as a whole. I think we might get a little bit more clarity this season, but I think with more of Abby's story next season, I'm expecting we'll get a lot more clarity in season 3.
And also this episode really like solidified that this season's definitely going to be an Ellie season.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't even show her at all during this episode. They didn't really mention her either. They're following the game pretty good with the past and like Ellie's gameplay.
We had talked about, I think it was last week, I'd asked, are we going to see Abby this season again? Or, maybe have like a full episode on her. And you nailed it when you were like, no, I think it's going to be, next season. She's going to have more of her own story being told in season 3 than here in season 2, which, again, like you're saying, following the storyline, how it was plotted out in the game, I think that will work. But then we could jump into Ellie and Dina's journey. They're riding in Seattle on horseback, and they see all these pride flags. And one of them says, "What's up with all the rainbows?"
They're like, they must be just optimistic people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. They had no idea what that was. It really didn't exist in her time.
Right. And what I had to remember was the world ended in 2003 in this timeline. So like LGBTQ plus progress, I'm guessing, stopped short pretty much right there. The significance of 2 women walking through that setting, one gay, one bi, unaware of the rainbow flags being. I think that was beautiful, but also
like
heartbreaking a little bit too.
Yeah. It really showed like how vulnerable they were too, because that's from my point of view. But I thought that was a cute snippet that they put in, like a foreshadowing too. And honestly, Seattle is very rainbow. I was there last year, so it's definitely rainbow colors everywhere. So really fit the vibe.
Represented well in The Last of Us, which then we go to the music store scene. I loved the set design. I feel like it very much captured the overgrown indoor feel of the game. We're navigating through abandoned buildings as Ellie. And you and I had talked last week about how important to us this part of the game story was and how it had to be done right. And I was very curious to hear your thoughts on it here in the TV show.
So for the music store scene, I like how they added in the little drum set. Is just messing around with it. And then Ellie goes and finds the guitar. Thank the world that she opened it up. And then we saw a scene of her tuning it, because I would have flipped that. They were like, okay, it's just fresh and tuned. But when she started playing the guitar and singing, I knew what was happening. I like Dina's performance so much more than Ellie's. I thought her emotions and her mannerism, her actions, like the whole time while Ellie was singing. I could have stared at her forever just while she was singing. She just did an amazing job. Didn't know Bella Ramsey could sing, which makes sense because I don't know why they would have casted her if she couldn't sing. It kind of sounded like Ellie singing, like the high-pitched, softer voice. I thought it was a very beautiful, slightly cringy, but beautiful scene that they both like had together. It was definitely really important, and it gave us the amazing, quick little edit of the guitar leaned up against the box, which is super famous for the Last of Us series. It used to be my background at work. I mean, it was definitely very important. That scene in the whole, I thought, was done pretty well. I had my ups and downs with it, but yeah, I think they achieved what they were doing. Now it's your turn. Tell me all your thoughts.
No, I again, like, this has been something I've been thinking about for a few years now. I feel like they did a great job with it. It definitely landed for me. I thought it was interesting too how they changed the context in which the scene is occurring. Because in the game, Dina and Ellie are already romantically involved. But here, at least my interpretation was Dina's still holding back. She's still maybe unsure, second guessing. And then watching Ellie play is the moment she really allows herself to begin to fully fall for Ellie, was my takeaway. And like you were saying, character of Dina falling for Ellie in this scene was played so well. I feel like this really was, like, as a whole, Dina's episode. That I talked about how much I loved her in episode 3, but I feel like even more so, she just nailed everything she was a part of in episode 4.
The actress is doing a phenomenal job, and I've been seeing some reviews of people hating on her, but it doesn't matter. It's pretty much what the viewers think. Me, you, the other people don't matter. But I think obviously the emotions of her falling in love, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about Bella Ramsey's performance as Ellie here. The creators were talking about how when a character plays a song in a show, it needs to carry emotional weight, and this does. Take on Me was beautiful. It was conveyed in an amazing way. But they were talking about how when you're playing guitar, you're either serenading somebody or you're playing that song and just really immersed in the emotions of it. And you're allowing the other person to feel everything, which I thought was a really beautiful way to describe this scene between these two characters. And again, I just loved that with this version of The Last of Us and how they adapted the story, how this moment is a very large emotional shift in Dina and Ellie's relationship, and how it's handled so well here. But also, I think another messaging aspect of it is that Dina and Ellie, in Seattle especially, still are not fully corrupted by the world. Like, they're still holding on to something real and something beautiful. We get to see that exhibited in the Take on Me scene. That's why it is so impactful and beautiful.
And this is a beautiful way of saying it. You do such a good job of words. I'm just gonna say that you're just a good job of words.
No, I appreciate it. It is like one of my favorite parts of the game, and I was kind of thinking about that watching the live version. Why does it have such a large impact, even though it's this small scene? And I think the creators of the TV show took that core from the game really well, and then built upon that a bit here in the TV show. Nailed it, and I loved it. I'm glad you enjoyed it as well.
I still enjoyed it.
What did you think about the TV station sequence?
So I was excited to see that because in the game that was a pain in my ass because it was just a long journey of getting through there. But they kept the majority of the parts. The wolves hanging, the message on the wall that says "Feel your love," and then their symbol. That was great. Can't really remember exactly how the gameplay went, but obviously it gave me in game mode a little bit when you saw the lights coming through and then they're talking, but you don't know where they're at. And you're trying to crouch behind the boxes and everything and sneak around. You got to see her first, like, angry kill, when the man came up the stairs and they both just killed someone. I don't know if it was Dina's first time. I can't remember. But
right, because we didn't actually hear back from Dina about her first kill.
But that was really entertaining and good.
Well said. I would totally agree with you. As far as like the corpses, being strung up, it was very interesting to me that they used real actors as the corpses and had them strung up when they were shooting all of that. Definitely added a realism aspect.
Yeah,
But
I
I mean,
think this
yeah,
whole had a bunch of realism, especially with the Scar being tortured and then the people hung. I don't think they're really holding back at all.
yeah, no, I don't think so. Because the Seraphite's work is nasty. I think this is interesting that, like you and I were talking about, like so far previously, the Seraphites have been showcased as the
Like
victims.
victim.
Yeah, but here we're seeing that they disemboweled their victims, they strung them up, they put the studio lights on them, they painted that message in blood. So we're kind of different look at them, even if it's just indirectly by their work. And then, like you were mentioning too, like Dina and Ellie, each kill a soldier and just keep it moving, which is in stark contrast to how Ellie processed death in season one. Now she's just taking down this guy like a clicker, basically, from
Yeah, just
behind.
hangs on or chokes him out. So kind of like the training that she was doing in the
Mhm.
first episode. Exactly the same move, essentially. Well, she's using what she was training for.
Yeah, totally. And like you said too, Dina just took out the other soldier. I think she's doing this for Ellie, but also I think for her baby at this point as well.
Yeah, which we won't really know about it. I mean, at least Ellie doesn't know about it just yet either. It's protecting herself. But all I have to say is that the next scene has to be like one of my top scenes. I thought it was a good representation of just their colonized hive run at you horror,
Yeah.
just fiction.
The tunnel.
Um, yeah, the tunnel scene. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I was waiting for that the whole episode. I was like, when are they going to go in there? What are your thoughts on it?
Similarly, I was very excited for that set to see that be incorporated into live action because it is like, for me personally, the part of the game that creeps me out, but that I enjoy the most, I think, because it's pitch
Yeah,
black dark and you just see the flares and you hear the clickers. And it's hard to creep around and navigate through all that in the game. But Ian and Ellie are used to fighting infected only a few at a time. They've gotten very confident at that. Yeah, very confident in that. But this is obviously a little bit more complicated. And the tunnel was filmed in a former paper mill, and it already had a real train track built in there. So they were just like in like the actual train cars, which I thought made it for a really impressive production design.
that's one thing that like shows and movies just absolutely love is their set design, their studio, the work that they put into it just for 5 minutes is
Right.
incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed they were sitting there and Dina was just listening and counting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there must be way more than that, but she just kept going up. I thought that was a good little what they do. Ellie's
Good
the
callback. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then Dina's the brains. The one part that I remembered from the game is the clicker just hitting that door that they added into the show as well. That one,
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even like notice that.
yeah, it's insane. It freaked me out a little bit. They do so good at the clicker makeup.
They do. I was very impressed. I really enjoyed that whole sequence. And then obviously we have Dina and Ellie running. Ellie just kind of doesn't even think about it, just sticks her arm out. So Dina doesn't get bit, which I really loved how the show handles reveal of Ellie's immunity to Dina. I think it was done so much better than in the game. Because in the game, Dina finds out about Ellie's immunity when she gives Dina a mask because they fall into a room full of spores, which I think we'll see next episode. But that was a very quickly realized thing because the spores take effect so fast. So I felt this was a lot more dramatic of a process leading up to the reveal.
It's kind of like a nice shining armor situation. I agree with you. I mean, I like the game portion too, but this
Mhm.
portion was definitely more tense and dramatic, and especially seeing how confused and like distraught that Dina was. She was like, "I don't want to shoot you, but I'm going to sit here and wait for you to turn." And Ellie trying to convince her that she's not. I mean, in that world, when that is an apocalypse, it would be really hard to believe someone that said that.
Totally. And I really love the shots of Dina from Ellie's perspective where we just see like a flashlight and the pistol. I thought, again, it really was setting the severity of the situation very well.
So obviously this was the same as like the couch scene in the game, but the way that it kind of a little bit irritated me that they could have kept it. They couldn't just stayed on the chair or the couch. I don't know why they had to go camping on the floor. Maybe that just shows the rawness of it being an apocalypse and the floor is all you got. That's fine. But now I'm gonna get real here. I kind of disappointed in this scene. I know everyone's like, yeah, they did the hanky panky, good. But in the game, Ellie is so angry at everything still. And then the Ellie in the show is just super, she's just vibing. She's not mad about Joel anymore. They just play her as a softer image in the show.
Yeah.
But in this scene, like when Dina says that she's pregnant, oh God, Ellie got pissed. She was just angry. I wish they would have kept how angry she was, because she should still be angry if this is a revenge mission. I know that they had a nice moment, but I think they're just playing it off a little too different. And I'm not enjoying that portion of it.
I think that's fair. I remembered like Ellie was kind of being an asshole to Dina at this point in the game storyline.
I mean, imagine still not an asshole, but like,
no, sure. Like you're saying, that writing for Ellie is coming across very different. Like Ellie's like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a dad. You know, that was nothing close to
that was funny.
game Ellie's. That was funny. But like you're saying though, game Ellie was very much filled with rage still at this point in the storyline. As a result, kind of lashes out at Dina, which I think I'll probably have a final opinion on depending on what happens next week. For now, I'm kind of like, okay, like I am interested to see maybe a different side of Ellie come out next week. I don't know. I think that's very fair criticism, though, especially coming from the character in the game. This version is very different, especially in this situation.
Which I totally get, creative writing and different to make game adaptations enjoyable for viewers. She can't just be angry all the time. She has to have emotions and feelings. But I just feel like at this point, she should have a little something brewing inside of her a little more. I think this episode was more or less of a love story. So I think they kept softer, warmer. I'm always going to be biased, but they still did it. Enjoyed the scene. I like their little conversation that we're going to be a family. Guess Jesse's going to be with us too. And it was action.
I personally really liked how they handled Dina in this moment where she realizes and fully believes Ellie when she says she's immune. Dina opens up completely about her pregnancy, her love for Ellie. They're as intimate as two people can be, obviously, then. And then she explains in the morning, it's all because Dina thought she had lost Ellie forever. And I think emotionally, that's why, at least from Dina's perspective, I really liked the whole sequence of events. I totally see your point, but it's very contrasting reactions on Ellie's end. Like you're saying, like Ellie's very gung-ho about it here.
She's very into it. She's like, all right, I'm gonna
yes, she's like, oh my God, you're pregnant? All right.
Which also shows how much she loves her. But I'm hoping your guess for next episode is going to be more intense on Ellie's fear, aggression, like revenge mode, which is the whole reason I'm going on this journey. So I want to see a little bit of that. We'll see. I mean, you're going to make their way towards the Lake Hill. That was like the last scene. Yeah.
I didn't catch it in the TV show, so good on you.
What is your thoughts? Because in the game, Ellie leaves Dina in the theater because she's protecting her because she's pregnant, right?
I think Dina's also really sick, too.
Yeah. And Dina's also persistent that she's going to go with. Do you think she's actually going to go with on the journey, or are they going to have it going to be a Bonnie and Clyde situation through the journey?
I think that's a good question. Because, we see Dina be like, no, I'm going to come with you. And that's how things end, like you said, here in the TV show. I think that for some reason or another, Ellie is going to end up solo in the next episode. I don't know if it's because Dina's like, cool, I'm just going to hold up here, or something else happens. But I really do think that at least for part of the episode, it's going to be a solo Ellie experience. I think we need that.
Which I hope, because honestly, he hasn't been alone all the way from season 1 to now, she's always had a buddy. So it'll be a challenge, even like when you're playing the game, it'll be a challenge because you're kind of by yourself now. So
Yeah.
I hope that she gets to go on her journey alone and they didn't change it. That would make it very different.
Yeah, it would. If they stick with how things go in the game, storyline wise, I don't know how Dina would be involved in some of the things moving forward. Be honest with you. Yeah, I'm thinking that Ellie, for one reason or another, is going to be at least semi-solo in the next episode.
I guess we'll have to wait and see now.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens next. Like you were kind of saying, I feel like this episode was more of a love story building episode. And I think that if we do get more of the vengeance version of Ellie in the next episode, it'll be that much more intense because of that. And maybe that'll work a little bit better. That's what came to my mind when you were kind of talking about, how this version of Ellie isn't in revenge mode constantly as much as the game version.
They're kind of gone through a theme here. They have a love story in the last seasons. They have to have one.
That's
not
true.
The same as a ball. But I enjoy it. I'm all for it. I'm Team Dina and Ellie all the way. So.
No, totally. I really enjoyed their various relationship dynamics in the episode. Ellie is obviously confident in who she is. Her closeting isn't about her sexuality. It's about her immunity. And I think especially this version, see how it pans out, but I would say also her rage. She doesn't have time to not be herself in this manner. But then I appreciated Dina expressing her fear. I mean, we saw Seth's reaction in Jackson. And it says, not everyone is as brave as you. And then he's like, oh, I'm not brave. I'm just obvious. But you were kind of mentioning earlier, the world really hasn't progressed, I'm guessing, at all in this regard past 2003. So queerness feels a lot riskier. Not that it doesn't in today's world, but obviously very different in 2003. And I thought that the episode really did a nice job of having us as an audience truly believe that these two characters were falling in love. Also, for me, it was kind of those moments that make it feel grounded. Like Ellie's just like looking out on the top of that building at the warfare happening. And then you always have that one person in the relationship that is a navigator, and that's Dina, because she pulls up the map. She's like, okay, here we are. Here's where we need to go. There it is.
Honestly, I was super impressed that she even figured that out by the way she was looking at the map. And I was like, okay, you know, girl.
Yeah, no Google Maps here. We got Dina getting us to and through Seattle. As far as the episode as a whole, I'm looking forward to seeing how it continue to develop Isaac and also the previous rookie who is now obviously very involved with Isaac. I'm interested to see if we get more of his character in the television show moving forward.
It's just very interesting characters, so I don't see why they wouldn't broadcast him more. And his little mini-me that he saved. So that would be a different portion than the game in itself. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, no, me too. I thought overall it was a really nicely done episode. Again, the take on me scene was the highlight of the episode for me. I was very happy with it.
Yeah, just like you said, the episode and the whole really captured the sequence of the gameplay and all this, besides some opinions that I have. It really broadcasted that super good. They're still doing a phenomenal job at keeping it pretty parallel to the game and the show. Hats off to them still, and then I'm excited to see episode 5, which we're almost done.
It is going by very quickly for me.
Yeah. I think it's when you have something to look forward to, like on a Sunday, and you're like, can't wait for it to be Sunday, and all of a sudden it's Sunday, and then the month is gone. I'm probably going to replay game 2 before season 3 comes out, because there's small details that I need to refresh on, because I haven't played it in a couple years. So that's my goal after the season is done, is to finish the game again and then be ready for whenever season 3 comes out. The thing that I was going to mention is I'm surprised they haven't done any flashbacks yet. I know it's probably not the right time to do some of them, and I know it's further on in the journey, but I would assume that they would have done snippets here and there. Because it just killed him and then nothing else. In the game, he always is just coming back. He's always re-mentioned. He wasn't really mentioned like at all last episode.
I don't know. They might save the flashbacks till the last episode now, because next episode, Ellie's going to be probably solo, at least for one interaction. And then we're also getting the spores introduced, which I'm excited to see. I think the creators of the show were like, okay, we don't need the spores in the TV show. And then they're like, man, we got to bring the spores back into this TV show because it'll add so much.
The spores are one of like the main parts, especially game 1, but game 2, I mean, they're still everywhere.
Yeah, I do like how they maybe are self-correcting a little bit here, but they're introducing it as something that's new in Seattle specifically, it sounds like, which I could definitely see based on it being more of a damp climate. You know, that climate would foster something like this mutating with the infected. So I think it's going to work out well with them introducing it now here in season 2.
I mean, that's a valid point. I just really think about that.
It'll be a new thing for Isaac, wolves, Seraphites, and then obviously Ellie and Dina to navigate. I'm looking forward to hopefully some more clickers or different variants of clickers being showcased, because I feel like we really get to experience more of that as well in game 2. And they kind of teased us a little bit at the very beginning in episode 1 with that. So I'm hoping they circle back to that.
I'm sure they will, because they already brought in a stalker that was it's usually later in the game because they're more intelligent and a modified infection. Yeah, I never know by the teaser trailers what's going to really happen if I watch it. So I do a good job with that.
I think they even showed a preview for episode 3 that featured Abby, and then of course Abby was not featured in that episode.
Teasing us.
Yeah, no, they are for sure.
I think as a whole, this episode, this wouldn't be one of my favorite episodes, but it did have one of my favorite scenes, and I think that it was a good, solid episode.
I'm in total agreement. Very solid episode, one that I really enjoyed. I'm very excited to see how the last 3 episodes leave off with our story here before we eventually, sometime, hopefully in the near future, get season 3.
I'm crossed.
Yeah, no, totally. Sometime next year or the year after would be really nice. But thank you so much for everyone that tuned in, and we will catch you next week. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Cinema Club. If you would be interested in coming on the show in the future, please email us at thecinemaclubtcc@gmail.com. Also, if you have not yet already done so, I would encourage you to join the Cinema Club Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thecinemaclubtcc, where we share what television series or films will be featured in upcoming episodes on the show. I'm sure you are listening to this episode on your preferred streaming platform, but I wanted to make you aware that you do have options. The Cinema Club is available on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and now YouTube as well at the Cinema Club Podcast. Please also consider giving the show a review on iTunes, as it does really help the show. And finally, we are completely supported by listeners like you. If you love the show, please consider visiting our website and clicking the Support This Podcast button. You can check that out at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/The Cinema Club. Your contribution of even 99 cents a month goes directly to maintaining and growing the Cinema Club podcast. Thank you so much to those of you who already financially do support the Cinema Club, and we will catch you on the next one.